When Amazon rejects every appeal, most sellers think it's over. But there is one last legal option, and that is arbitration. If you feel you've been treated unfairly, you've sent appeal after appeal, and Amazon keeps rejecting them, sometimes with no explanation, at this point, many sellers want just to sue Amazon in court. But in most cases, you have to understand you just can't. That is because the business solution agreement, the contract that every seller signs when opening a store, doesn't allow traditional lawsuits. Instead, it requires disputes to go through arbitration. Basically, arbitration is a legal process Amazon requires for most disputes. Instead of seller performance deciding your fate, a natural arbitrator reviews the evidence and makes a binding decision. And while it rarely forces Amazon to reinstate accounts, it can address withheld funds, procedural unfairness, and create the first real dialogue with Amazon's legal team. So when should you consider arbitration? You should consider arbitration when your appeals keep getting rejected without any clear explanation or guidance on what's missing. If you're hit with a vague accusation that don't spell out the violation, if there are long delays with no updates, if your funds are being withheld in ways that feel disproportionate, or if you never get a real chance to respond or clarify your side. Those are the situations where arbitration can finally put Amazon's decision under independent legal review. Now, let's set a realistic expectations. Arbitration can resolve some issues, but it has its limits. Arbitrators rarely force Amazon to reinstate accounts, and that is because of the at-will nature of the agreement. Where arbitration is often powerful is with funds. Arbitrators can and do look closely at whether Amazon's withholding is proportionate, and unreasonable holds can be challenged. Another area is conduct. If Amazon causes harm through arbitrary decisions, long delays, or mishandled appeals, that can also be scrutinized. And maybe the biggest thing is that arbitration finally puts you across the table from Amazon's legal team. Something you simply don't get in the standard appeal process. Let's talk about the process and how it works. So the process starts when you file a demand for arbitration with the American Arbitration Associations. You have to keep in mind that there is a filing fee and it depends on the size of your claim. Once that's done, both sides get a list of potential arbitrators and each side ranks them until one is chosen. At this point, Amazon responds with its legal team and the case begins. Now, the arbitrators sets a schedule, both sides exchange evidence, and if the matter doesn't settle earlier, you'll have a hearing, which in most cases is done by video. Now, should you handle it yourself or get legal representation? Keep in mind, Amazon always shows up with experienced lawyers. Arbitration isn't casual. It comes with rules, procedures, and strategy. So if you go alone, you are at a disadvantage. Having a proper representation can make a huge difference. It helps frame the claims clearly, present the evidence effectively, and push for the kind of relief that's actually achievable under the agreement. So should you actually file for arbitration? At the end of the day, arbitration is a serious step. It takes time, money, and preparation. So the real question isn't just can you file, but should you file? The best way to think about it is whether the potential outcome justified the effort. For some sellers, the financial loss from withheld funds or the damage caused by unfair treatment makes arbitration a necessary move. For others, the cost of pursuing arbitration may be higher than what's realistically recoverable. That is why it's important to look at your specific situation, the evidence you have, and the business impact you're facing. Arbitration is not a one-size-fits-all solution, but in the right situation, it can make all the difference. Arbitration is not about guarantees, it's about accountability. After every appeal has failed, it's your one chance to bring the case before someone outside Amazon. And for many sellers, that step is the difference between walking away empty-handed and finally reaching a fair resolution. I know arbitration can sound complicated and even intimidating, and that is why I recommend reaching out to us or any other lawyer who handles Amazon arbitration. So you can ask all the questions, understand the process, and figure out whether your case is a good fit.